Hello and welcome to a new video in the Mantis Q40 series. Today we're going to take a look at some of the advanced library features. One of the things that you're going to need to know before we proceed is that this book is the same book that was that we looked at in the last video, except for this is the Daisy version. And the reason I loaded the Daisy version on this time is because it gives us more options in the way of navigation. So we'll see what that looks like in just a second here. All right, so if you'll recall, I'm in the book actually, and I'm going to go to the top of the book, the very top, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my navigation menu option with a Control-T and show you the difference. So the first option I see is level 1. I can change that by pressing my right navigation key, and then level 2 is the next option, then page, then line, then sentence, then bookmark, and then close. I want to show you what it looks like when we navigate by level 1. So I'm going to advance again and find level 1, press enter. So now I'm still at the top of the book. I'm going to press the next thumb key, and it's this is heading level 1, the first one. So it says notice. So this is probably just the heading before the copyright notice. So I'm going to press that next thumb key again, and it gives me the title of the book. I'm going to press it again, and it kind of sticks me in this like nowhere area. And this, what it did is it went to the end of the book, because those are the only 2 level 1 headings in this book. So we know that that's not really going to help us with anything useful. So let's try another tactic here. So let's go to Control-T again. And this time I'm going to press the next thumb key and choose level 2 and press enter, or a cursor routing key. And I'm going to go to the top of the document, or the top of the book again, with control function left arrow. So now when I press the next thumb key, it will navigate to the next level 2 heading. This will give us some more options, and you'll see why this is probably the preferable option, at least for this book. So if I press it once, it takes me to that copyright notice again. For some reason, it must be a second level there. And now it's gives me again, it says copyright notice again, and now it's press it again, and it's saying okay, another more notices, and I'm going to press it again, and I'm just kind of skimming here because I know what I'm looking for. I'm hoping for something useful. And then here I'm finding, okay, Harry Potter, and so this is the title. And now I'm focused on the contents. Well, that's closer to what I want. So if I hit that next thumb key again, it says Chapter 1, The Boy Who Lived. So that navigates me by Chapter 1. So now if I press it again, let's see what I get. Chapter 2, Chapter 3. So this is my heading level 2, my level 2 navigation area, and it includes my chapters. And that's kind of quite useful. So now let's just kind of review the Where Am I key. Here I'm now focused on the heading level that says Chapter 3, actually. So Where Am I is going to be a control with the letter W for Where Am I. And the first thing it's going to do is it's going to tell me I'm at a heading, and it's going to tell me that I'm at heading level 10 of 26. Okay, good to know. So I hit next thumb key. The next thing it's going to tell me is what percentage I'm at. So I'm at about 12%. The next thing, when I press my next thumb key, it's going to tell me what page I'm on. I'm on page 31 of 321 pages. And the next thing it's going to give me is line. I'm not even going to go there. So line number, and then it says close. So I would hit enter or a cursor routing key to close. So now I'm right back where I was originally, which is the heading of chapter 3, excuse me. So those are important to know. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to find my chapters or the beginning of my book so I could begin reading. That's kind of probably the most important thing that your student is going to need to know, or that you are going to need to know if you are indeed a student. The next thing it's important to kind of have an idea about is how to do a search. So I'm going to go back to the top of this document or this book, control function left arrow, and to do a search, I'm going to do a control plus the letter F. It's very familiar, I'm sure, because this is what you would do on a Windows computer. And what it gives me is it says find, and it gives me that funky, that bracket with that underline in the middle, letting me know that I can enter my text there. And I want to find the word chapter. And this would only work, by the way, if you knew that your chapters were marked up with the word chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And here we go. It says chapter 1. So that was one way to quickly skip to chapter 1 by doing that find command if I wasn't sure about my levels and things like that. That's one way to do it. To find the next thing is you're going to do an F3. And again, here's the next occurrence, chapter 2, chapter 3. And obviously, if there were to happen to be the word chapter at any point in between there, we would have that as a point there. The next major thing that we're going to take a look at is bookmarks. Bookmarks are kind of interesting in the Mantis. It's not that they're bad or good, it's that you have to really kind of keep track of how you enter them and what they are. And you'll understand what I mean by that in a bit. So I'm going to go to the top. Well, you know what? I'm going to actually go back to chapter 1 here. So I came back twice. So I also could have done a Shift F3 to move backwards in my find. So, but this was easier. So what I'm going to do is if I wanted to insert a bookmark here, and I'm going to just get off of this chapter 1 heading. So I'm going to advance my Braille display a bit. And here's the first sentence of the first chapter. If I wanted to put a bookmark here quickly, I could do a control plus the letter B for bookmark. And this will assign a bookmark to it in the next numerical progression. So I press that and it's going to say bookmark 1 inserted. And it's going to give me that flash message again it'll just flash and disappear. So it is assigned to this bookmark as bookmark number 1. So that is a quick bookmark. It's very easy to jump right into reading after you've inserted a bookmark that way. You can also insert a bookmark another way. You can do it through the bookmark menu. So I'm going to actually come a couple of advanced Braille displayed links, a couple more here. Okay, so here I am, and I'm going to put my cursor where I want it, and I'm just going to put it on the word strange because that just happens to be right there. So it's focused on the word strange. So now if I press an Alt plus the letter M for mark to open the bookmark menu, I'm going to have some options, and I can use my previous and next thumb key. I'm just going to go through what those options are for just a really quick minute. So the first thing we have is insert. Then we have go to bookmark. Then we have highlight bookmark, which we'll talk about briefly later. And then we have remove bookmark. And finally, we have show the highlighted bookmarks and then close. So I'm going to press the next thumb key again. So I get to insert bookmark. I'm going to press enter, and it says insert bookmark, and it's going to give me an option of what number I want to call that bookmark. So I'm going to hit a backspace to make that blank, and I'm going to, if I didn't want it to be bookmark 2, which is what it was automatically going to be assigned, I would put in what I wanted the bookmark number to be. If I put in 2 and hit OK, it would clear it. But if I accidentally put in a bookmark that I already have, so let's try putting in bookmark 1 and press enter, and it's going to tell me the bookmark already, bookmark 1 already exists. And I can't get out of that until I hit escape. So it kicked me out after I was unable to insert one. So now I'm going to have to do it again. So let me go ahead and come back a bit. And I'm going to find that same word. Here we go, strange. Here it is. Perfect. So then I'm going to do that Alt-M again. And as I can see, insert is the first option. I'm going to hit either a cursor routing key or the enter, excuse me. And again, it's going to give me an option, and it says bookmark 2 in there. And I'm going to leave that, hit enter, and it says bookmark 2 inserted. So that is another way to do it. You can navigate bookmarks, or you can jump to a bookmark. So for example, suppose I wanted to jump to that bookmark 1. I can do a Control plus the letter J. And you're prompted to enter, and it says go to bookmark, and you can enter which number bookmark you want to go to. I'm going to press 1, enter, and here it says bookmark 1. And here we go. For some reason, it takes it like a hot minute. It gives that flash message and beeps. So it kind of sounds like it's not going to do it, but it does. So it took me to that first bookmark. The highlight bookmark menu it's supposed to define the start and the end of a bookmark. So to highlight a bookmark, we're just going to, I want to find a good spot actually. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to chapter 2 just so that I'm in a totally different location. And I'm going to go to that first sentence of chapter 2. Here we go. And so I want to maybe highlight that first sentence. And I'm focused there. I can tell because that's where my cursor is. So I'm going to do an Alt-M again to open that highlight or bookmarks menu, excuse me. And then I'm going to use the next thumb key to find highlight bookmark start. And that's what it says. It says start using the previous, excuse me. And I'm going to press enter. And I'm going to be asked to enter a specific unused bookmark number. It has, again, it has 3 here. So I'm just going to stick with that, that convention. And then I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter. So now, here I am. So I'm going to find the end of this sentence, and here we go. Advance the Braille display. And here's the end of the sentence here. So if I'm going to just stick that, I'm going to just stick that cursor right at that period here at the end. There we go. I want to put it here instead, actually. So I'm going to stick that period, or stick that cursor where I want it. And then I'm going to open that bookmark menu again by pressing that Alt-M. And I'm going to find that select highlight bookmark, and except it's going to say bookmark end. So instead of start, it's going to say end. There it is. Enter. And it told me that it was inserted. Now the current position is set at the ending position. If, for example, if you had an accident and you accidentally set the end position before the beginning position, what the Mantis would do is it would correct that, and set the position that was first, that occurred first, not the first one you created, and put that as the start and the next position as the end. So it would switch those if it found that you made an error. Now, you can also show the highlighted bookmarks, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So Alt-M again, and here we go. Insert, go to, and highlight bookmark start, and then here we go, remove bookmark, show highlighted bookmarks. And I'm going to press enter. And it says 3, which is the highlighted bookmark that we have. It's the only one. And I'm going to hit enter to show that one. And it has that sentence, and I'm reading it, and that is the only part of that bookmark or that area that will show. It will not allow you to progress further in the book because it literally extracted that bookmark and put it on your display for you. So if you need to see something in context or highlight a vocabulary term or something like that within a book, this was a really good way to do it, and then have them highlighted and be able to review them without having to jump around within the book text. One last thing I do want to show you is removing a bookmark. So again, I'm going to get out of here, I'm going to hit escape a couple of times. Oops, and I got out of the book by accident. So that might happen if you were to do that. Okay. And what happens a lot of times is that when you close the book and you open it back up, you end up in the same place that you left. So it's not a problem. So if you do Alt-M again, and I'm just going to show you first letter navigation works in these menus. So I'm going to hit R for remove a bookmark and then enter. And then it's going to ask me which bookmark I want to remove. This can get tricky, because if you have several bookmarks and you didn't either label them all or you don't remember which is which, this could be tricky. So I know I want to remove my highlighted bookmark, which was bookmark 3, and I'm going to press enter. And it says highlight bookmark 3 removed. Perfect. So now let's just make sure it's removed by pressing a Control J. Go to bookmark, and I'm going to put the number 3. Enter, and it says bookmark 3 does not exist. Perfect. That means I removed it. So going back to this whole not knowing which bookmarks you've inserted, one of the reasons you're going to want to stick with that numbering convention that exists by default is for this reason. Another thing that you could do is that if you have a reason to be deleting and adding bookmarks with different numbers, then you may want to have an editor file that lists what bookmark number is which, if it's a very complicated highlighting and things like that. There isn't a way that I'm aware of to remove all the bookmarks in a book so that you start fresh. The only way I can think of to do that is to just remove and then try putting in various numbers and see if it removes the bookmarks, or to list the bookmarks, or to jump by bookmarks and see where you're at. So it's not perfect, but it's certainly useful. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. Please feel free to subscribe to our channel or submit questions or content or comments in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a fantastic day.